Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you from and what is the time right now? Sarah Miller never planned to be a hero. At 45, she was content running her small coffee shop in downtown Portland, living alone in her modest apartment, and trying to forget the loss of her husband Tom 2 years ago. But fate had other plans. Plans that arrived in the form of a 3-legged German shepherd on the coldest night of December. It was nearly midnight when Sarah was closing up her shop. The winter wind howled outside as she counted the day's earnings and prepared to head home. That's when she heard it, a weak whimper coming from the alley behind her shop. Sarah got to her feet. Most people would have ignored it. After all, it was freezing outside, and strange sounds in dark alleys rarely led to anything good. But something in that whimper called to Sarah, reminding her of Tom's last words. "Don't let my death close your heart, honey. The world still needs your kindness." Grabbing her flashlight, Sarah opened the back door. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating a sight that made her gasp. There, huddled against her dumpster, was a large German shepherd. His fur was matted with ice and dirt, and where his right front leg should have been, there was only a poorly healed stump. "Oh, you poor thing," Sarah whispered, her heart breaking at the fear in the dog's eyes. He tried to stand but stumbled, too weak and cold to move properly. Sarah had never owned a dog. Tom had been allergic, but in that moment she knew she couldn't leave this one to die in the cold. Moving slowly, she took off her warm coat and approached the trembling animal. "It's okay, buddy. I won't hurt you," she coaxed softly. The dog watched her, brown eyes full of distrust, but didn't growl or try to run. When she got close enough to drape her coat over him, he actually leaned into her touch, as if he'd used the last of his strength to hold out for help. Getting him to the emergency vet was a challenge. The dog was large and, even weakened, it took all her strength to help him into her car. The vet's face was grim as she examined him. "How are you?" "He's severely malnourished, dehydrated, and has several infections," Dr. Martinez explained. "The amputation site shows this was done surgically, but it hasn't been cared for properly. He has a microchip, but it's registered to a closed military canine unit. My guess is he's a retired military dog who ended up in the wrong hands." Sarah listened, her heart growing heavier with each word. "Will he make it?" "With proper care, yes, but he'll need someone to take him in, give him time to heal both physically and emotionally. Military dogs are special. They've seen things, done things. They need patience and understanding." Before Sarah could stop herself, she heard her voice saying, "I'll take him." The next few weeks were a crash course in dog ownership. Sarah named him Max, and slowly they began to heal each other. She learned that Max had nightmares. He would wake whimpering, just like she often woke crying from dreams of Tom. On those nights, they would sit together on her couch, taking comfort in each other's presence. Max's physical recovery was slow but steady. He learned to trust Sarah's gentle hands as she cleaned his wounds and helped him exercise. She discovered that despite his intimidating size, he was incredibly gentle, especially with children who visited her coffee shop. One morning, about a month after finding Max, Sarah was walking him near her shop when they heard a crash from a nearby alley. A young woman screamed. Someone had grabbed her purse and was running away. Before Sarah could process what was happening, Max was moving. Despite his 3 legs, Max ran with surprising speed. He didn't attack the thief, but used his body to block the man's path, forcing him to stumble, The purse went flying, and the thief ran off as Sarah called the police. The young woman was grateful, but Sarah was amazed. "You didn't hurt him," she said to Max later. "You just stopped him. You're still protecting people, aren't you?" Max's response was to lay his head in her lap, his eyes saying what words couldn't. "It's what I was born to do." As months passed, Max became a regular fixture at Sarah's coffee shop. She set up a comfortable bed for him near the counter, and customers loved him. Children would bring him treats, and veterans who came to the shop often sat with him, seeming to find comfort in his quiet presence. Sarah began learning more about military dogs, connecting with online communities of canine handlers. Through them, she discovered that Max had likely served multiple tours in Afghanistan before his injury. The handler who recognized his photo from her post shared that Max had saved his entire unit, but had lost his leg in the subsequent explosion. Gustav Deltrasi. "These dogs give everything for us," the handler wrote. "They deserve to be honored and cared for, not abandoned when they can no longer serve." Those words stuck with Sarah. She started a small nonprofit organization, 3 Paws Forward, dedicated to helping retired military dogs find loving homes. Max became the face of the organization, his story inspiring others to open their hearts to these 4-legged veterans. 1 year after finding Max, Sarah stood in her coffee shop, watching him gently accept pets from a little girl in a wheelchair. The girl's mother explained that her daughter had been afraid of dogs since an accident took her ability to walk, but something about Max made her feel safe. "He knows what it's like," the girl said, smiling as Max licked her hand. "He's different too, but he's still strong and brave." Sarah felt tears in her eyes, remembering that cold night when she'd found him. "Yes, he is," she agreed. "And he taught me that being broken doesn't mean you stop being beautiful. Sometimes our broken pieces just make room for more love to get in." That evening, as they sat in their favorite spot on her balcony watching the sunset, Sarah hugged Max close. "Thank you," she whispered into his fur. "Thank you for showing me that love comes in many forms, and that it's never too late for a second chance." Max's tail thumped against the floor, his eyes full of understanding. In saving him that winter night, Sarah had also saved herself. Together they had learned that the greatest acts of love often come disguised as moments of mercy, and that sometimes the most broken souls have the most to give. Now, whenever Sarah hears people say that animals can't understand love, she just smiles, because every day Max shows her that love isn't about understanding. It's about choosing to stay, choosing to trust, and choosing to heal together, one day at a time.